Hershel Williams was 21 years old, a Marine corporal with a flamethrower. His unit faced a maze of concrete pillboxes that had already stopped American tanks cold. In the next 4 hours, covered by only 4 riflemen, he would do something that seemed impossible. February 23, 1945. Iwo Jima, a volcanic island 8 square miles in size, 650 nautical miles south of Tokyo. The island was black volcanic sand and rock. Mount Suribachi, a 546-foot dormant volcano, dominated the southern tip. The terrain was brutal. Visibility in some areas dropped to 20 meters. The Japanese had spent months turning Iwo Jima into a fortress. Lieutenant General Tadamichi Kuribayashi commanded 22,000 defenders. His engineers had carved 18 kilometers of tunnels into the volcanic rock. They built hundreds of pillboxes, each one reinforced with steel, concrete, and volcanic sand. The pillboxes were positioned with interlocking fields of fire. Machine gun positions covered every approach. When American naval bombardment pounded the island for weeks before the invasion, most of these fortifications survived intact. The 3rd Marine Division landed on Iwo Jima on February 21, 1945. Williams served with the 21st Marines as a demolition sergeant. His primary weapon was the flamethrower. Weight 70 pounds when fully loaded. Effective range 40 yards. The weapon could shoot burning napalm for 8 to 10 seconds before running empty. By February 23, American forces had been fighting for 4 days. Marines had suffered thousands of casualties trying to advance across the volcanic sand. Tanks attempted to open lanes through the Japanese defenses. The pillboxes stopped them. Each concrete bunker had to be eliminated individually. Standard tactics called for infantry to suppress the positions while engineers moved forward with demolitions. But the Japanese fire was too intense. Marines who exposed themselves were cut down immediately. On the 4th day of the battle, Williams and his unit faced a network of pillboxes that blocked any further advance. American tanks maneuvered but could not break through. Machine gun fire from the reinforced positions devastated any infantry attempting to move forward. The regiment could not reach its objective. Someone had to get close enough to the pillboxes to destroy them. Williams volunteered. 4 riflemen agreed to provide covering fire. That was all the support available. He strapped the flamethrower onto his back and started forward. The weight made crawling difficult across the uneven volcanic terrain. Enemy riflemen spotted him immediately. Bullets struck the volcanic sand around him. He heard rounds ricochet off his fuel tank. The first pillbox was 40 yards ahead. Concrete walls 3 feet thick. A firing slit barely large enough for a machine gun barrel. The Japanese inside had clear fields of fire across the approach. Williams crawled closer. The closer he got, the harder it became for the enemy to angle their weapons down at him. 30 yards, 20 yards, 10 yards. He raised the flamethrower and fired. The napalm stream arced through the air and struck the pillbox entrance. Flame splashed across the concrete. The machine gun went silent. But the bunker was still occupied. He could hear movement inside. Williams crawled around to the side of the pillbox. There was an air vent, a small opening designed to provide ventilation for the occupants. He positioned himself directly beneath it and inserted the flamethrower nozzle through the opening. He fired a sustained burst directly into the interior. The screaming stopped quickly. The pillbox was neutralized, but there were 8 more pillboxes in the network. His flamethrower was nearly empty. Williams crawled back to American lines. 200 yards across open ground while Japanese riflemen fired at him from multiple positions. He reached cover. His hands were shaking. A Marine handed him a fresh flamethrower. Williams prepared demolition charges. He took 6 explosive satchels and stuffed them into a canvas bag. Then he started crawling forward again. This time, 3 Japanese riflemen emerged from a covered position 20 yards to his left. They carried rifles with fixed bayonets. They charged directly at him. Williams had seconds to react. He swung the flamethrower toward them and fired. The burst of flame caught all 3 men. They went down. Williams kept crawling. He grew up hunting white-tailed deer in the hills of West Virginia. His father taught him to shoot when he was 8 years old. You had to stay calm. You had to aim carefully. You had to squeeze the trigger smooth. Those lessons from childhood applied now. Stay calm. Move deliberately. Complete the mission. The second pillbox was positioned 30 yards from the first. Machine gun fire erupted from the firing slit as Williams approached. His 4 riflemen returned fire. The Japanese gunner ducked back briefly. Williams used those seconds to close the distance. He got within 10 yards and fired the flamethrower through the firing slit. The napalm entered the bunker. The machine gun stopped. Williams placed a demolition charge against the base of the pillbox. He pulled the fuse igniter and crawled away. The charge detonated. The explosion collapsed part of the bunker. His flamethrower was empty again. He had to go back. The return trip took 5 minutes. Every yard exposed him to enemy fire. Bullets kicked up volcanic sand around him. A round struck his fuel tank again, but did not penetrate. When he reached American lines, a corpsman offered to check him for wounds. Williams waved him off. He grabbed another flamethrower and more demolition charges. He immediately started forward a third time. Most men would have taken a break. Williams did not stop. The third pillbox was the largest in the network. 2 firing slits. Reinforced steel door on the rear entrance. The Japanese inside had clear observation of the entire American advance. Machine gun fire from this position had killed at least a dozen Marines over the past 2 hours. Williams approached from the left flank. His 4 riflemen concentrated their fire on the right firing slit. The Japanese shifted their attention to return fire. Williams used the distraction to close to within 15 yards of the left slit. He fired a sustained burst through the opening. The flames entered the pillbox. Screaming erupted from inside. The machine gun fire stopped, but the pillbox had a second entrance. Japanese infantry could reinforce through the tunnel system. Williams had to destroy the position completely. He crawled to the rear entrance. The steel door was partially open. He could see movement inside. He lit a demolition charge, waited 2 seconds, then threw it through the doorway. He pressed himself flat against the ground. The explosion was massive. The entire pillbox collapsed inward. Smoke and dust billowed from the entrance. No one emerged. Williams had been under fire for 90 minutes. 4 pillboxes destroyed. 5 more remained in the network. He went back again. 4th trip across 200 yards of open ground. His hands were raw from crawling across volcanic rock. His uniform was torn. He was dehydrated. A Marine offered him a canteen. Williams drank and kept moving. Fresh flamethrower. More demolition charges. He crawled forward for the 4th time. The pattern repeated. Approach under fire. Destroy the pillbox with flamethrower or demolitions. Crawl back for more equipment. Advance again. Williams made 7 trips across that killing zone. Each time, Japanese riflemen fired at him. Each time, his 4 covering riflemen kept enemy heads down just long enough for Williams to reach the next objective. He had served in the Marine Corps for 2 years. First combat was at Guam in 1944. He learned that survival required constant movement. Stay still and you die. Keep moving and the enemy has to adjust their aim. He applied that lesson on Iwo Jima. Never stopped crawling. Never gave the Japanese gunners an easy target. The 5th pillbox required a different approach. The firing slit faced directly at American positions. No angle for flanking. Williams crawled straight at it. Machine gun fire kicked up sand all around him. 20 yards. 15 yards. 10 yards. He raised up on his knees, fully exposed, and aimed the flamethrower at the firing slit. He fired. The napalm stream went directly through the opening. The machine gun stopped immediately. Japanese infantry counterattacked from a position to his right. 6 soldiers with rifles. Williams swung the flamethrower toward them and fired the remaining fuel. The burst caught 3 of them. The other 3 retreated into a cave entrance. Williams threw a demolition charge after them. The explosion collapsed the cave. Mouth! He crawled back to American lines again. By now, Williams had been fighting continuously for 3 hours. The sun was high. Temperature had climbed to 32 degrees Celsius. The volcanic sand reflected heat like a furnace. Williams was approaching heat exhaustion. His 4 riflemen were running low on ammunition, but there were still pillboxes blocking the American advance. He made 2 more trips forward. Pillbox 6 and 7 both fell to flamethrower attacks, followed by demolition charges. Williams was now operating on muscle memory. Crawl forward, identify the target, close to effective range, fire the flamethrower, place the charge, crawl back. The actions became automatic. His body moved, while his mind focused only on the next objective. The 8th pillbox was the most heavily defended position in the network. 3 machine guns, reinforced with steel beams. 30 yards of open ground with no cover for the approach. Williams studied it for 2 minutes. His 4 riflemen had perhaps 20 rounds each remaining. This would be his last attack. After this, they would all be out of ammunition. Williams waited until the Japanese machine gunners shifted their fire toward another Marine unit advancing on the left. Then he stood up and ran, full sprint across 40 yards of open ground. All 3 machine guns swung toward him. Muzzle flashes erupted from the firing slits. Williams kept running. He covered the distance in 8 seconds. He dove to the ground directly beneath the pillbox. The machine guns could not angle down far enough to hit him. He crawled to the air vent. He inserted the flamethrower nozzle and emptied the entire fuel load into the bunker. The flamethrower burned for 12 seconds. When it stopped, the only sound from inside the pillbox was the crackle of fire. Williams placed his last demolition charge against the entrance. He pulled the igniter and rolled away. The charge detonated. The pillbox collapsed. He crawled back to American lines one final time. 4 hours after he started, 8 pillboxes destroyed. The network that had stopped the American advance was eliminated. His company could now move forward. Williams reached friendly positions and collapsed. The corpsman examined him. No wounds, heat exhaustion, dehydration, cuts and abrasions across both hands and knees. The corpsman told him to rest. Williams asked if his 4 riflemen were safe. All 4 survived the action. The 21st Marines advanced through the positions Williams had cleared. They reached their objective by nightfall. Post-action reports credited Williams with neutralizing one of the most heavily defended Japanese strongpoints on Iwo Jima. His actions saved an estimated 30 to 50 Marine lives. Williams continued fighting on Iwo Jima for another 11 days. On March 5th, a Japanese mortar round exploded near his position. Shrapnel struck him in the left shoulder and right leg. He was evacuated to a hospital ship. The wounds ended his combat service on Iwo Jima. The battle continued for another 3 weeks. American forces declared the island secure on March 26, 1945. Nearly 7,000 Marines died in the battle. More than 20,000 were wounded. The Japanese lost nearly all 22,000 defenders. October 5, 1945. The White House. President Harry Truman presented the Medal of Honor to Corporal Hershel Williams. The ceremony occurred less than 2 months after Japan surrendered. Williams was 21 years old at the presentation. The citation stated that Williams fought desperately for 4 hours under terrific enemy small arms fire and repeatedly returned to his own lines to prepare demolition charges and obtain serviced flamethrowers. He daringly mounted a pillbox to insert the nozzle of his flamethrower through the air vent, killing the occupants and silencing the gun. He grimly charged enemy riflemen who attempted to stop him with bayonets and destroyed them with a burst of flame from his weapon. Williams was born October 2, 1923, in Quiet Dell, West Virginia. He grew up on a dairy farm. His father died of a heart attack when Hershel was 11 years old. He left school early to help support the family. Before enlisting in the Marine Corps, he drove a taxi and then worked as a truck driver for a construction company. The Marine Corps initially rejected Williams in 1943. He was 5 feet 6 inches tall. The height requirement at that time was 5 feet 8 inches. The Corps lowered the height requirement a few months later. Williams enlisted in May 1943. He trained in San Diego and was assigned to a tank battalion. He later transferred to the demolition detachment as a flamethrower operator. The Medal of Honor was not the end of Williams' story. He struggled with what would later be called post-traumatic stress disorder. He had nightmares about Iwo Jima for 17 years. In 1962, he experienced a religious awakening that transformed his life. The nightmares stopped. He served as chaplain for the Congressional Medal of Honor Society for more than 30 years. Williams retired from the Marine Corps Reserve in 1969 with the rank of Chief Warrant Officer 4. He worked for the Veterans Administration for 33 years as a Veterans Service Representative. He helped thousands of veterans access their benefits. He understood what they had experienced because he had been there himself. In 2010, Williams founded the Hershel Williams Congressional Medal of Honor Education Foundation. The foundation honors Gold Star families, the relatives of service members who died in combat. Williams remembered delivering Western Union telegrams to Gold Star families in West Virginia during World War II. Those memories drove him to ensure Gold Star families received proper recognition. The Foundation has established more than 150 Gold Star family memorial monuments across the United States. A United States Navy ship bears his name. The USS Hershel Williams, an expeditionary sea base vessel, was commissioned in March 2020. Williams attended the commissioning ceremony. The Veterans Administration Medical Center in Huntington, West Virginia, was renamed the Hershel Williams, a medical center in his honor. Williams died June 29, 2022, at age 98. He was the last surviving Medal of Honor recipient from World War II. His remains lay in honor in the United States Capitol Rotunda on July 14, 2022. He is buried at the Donald Kinnard Memorial State Veterans Cemetery in Barboursville, West Virginia. He once said the Medal of Honor did not belong to him. It belonged to the 2 Marines whose names he never knew, the men who gave their lives protecting his on Iwo Jima. He considered himself a caretaker of the medal, wearing it in their honor. 4 hours under fire, 8 pillboxes destroyed, 7 trips across open ground while enemy machine guns targeted him. The citation calls it conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life. His fellow Marines called it the reason their regiment survived, February 23, 1945. If these stories matter to you, subscribe to the channel. There are more than 3,500 Medal of Honor recipients. Everyone has a story like this.